All right, so this will be a soft introduction for episode 6. So today we have with us, it would be the Armed Pit, uh, aka the secret name, who I will let him disclose if he is interested. So pleasure getting you on the Geek Speak here. So let's go ahead and have you, I guess, introduce yourself.
All right. How's it going? Well, my name's Charles. Uh, on Twitter, I guess like most of the Flesh and Blood community, I go by the Armpit. Um, Basically, I'm just a casual play advocate, and so I'd like to, you know, spread the word on like all the different casual formats and stuff, and support all the creators that want to, you know, do casual.
One thing in my thing. There we go. I was going to start a stopwatch. See, that's me being a dum dum. Um, so if you had to give an elevator pitch for Flesh and Blood, because there's still a lot of folks out there that don't know what Flesh and Blood is, what would you maybe give as an elevator pitch to Flesh and Blood to somebody that walks up and grabs, a booster pack and says, "Man, what exactly is this game? What is Flesh and Blood?"
Uh, I'd like to tell people that it's a fighting game in card game form. Uh, that's kind of the biggest appeal to me as to what got me into the game. Uh, I used to be from the fighting game community. I used to play heavily, but then like I had some like hand issues, and so I chilled out on that. And also, I did play Magic for a very long time, but I didn't.
Okay,
But I quit that just because I didn't like the direction things were going and all
I've
that.
heard that statement quite a
But
bit recently.
yeah, we don't have to go too deep into it. But like, yeah, just I quit that, and then I went a while without really playing anything, and then I discovered Flesh and Blood, and just been playing that ever since. And but yeah, like just the parallels between a fighting game and in Flesh and Blood is just I think that's kind of its biggest selling point, right? Because it is hero based. Uh, you do have access to like it's your actions that determine the success of your games. It is 1v1 most of the time. And yeah, just and not to mention you get to do a little bit of customization, having different loadouts and stuff. I think that's kind of the best way to describe it.
Okay, so in I guess Flesh and Blood, when did you I guess jump in? Like how long have you been in the ecosystem or the game itself?
Well, I started paying attention to it around Uprising.
Okay.
That's when I started going to events. Uh, I started building decks around that time as well. Probably around, yeah, by Dynasty, I started building decks. I was actually focused on like Blitz and Ultimate Pit Fight. I don't know why, but like once they like made Ultimate Pit Fight a thing, I just pretty much just went for it. Built a bunch of different decks for it. Uh, it was an interesting way to learn how the game plays. And
So that's obviously very different than most people that go to like an armory and play CC. So what drew you to UPF?
uh, probably because I spent so much time with Magic, and there was a focus on Commander. Like there was Commander's like one of the main formats, if you want to call it that, over there. So it was I felt it like is the seemed like a really cool way to like get people to transition into Flesh and Blood in more like social, but at the same time like controlled way.
So out of the I guess various parts of Flesh and Blood that you've jumped into, when you're playing, especially like maybe UPF, is that something that you're doing at a kitchen table? Or are you going to an LGS? Do you have a group that you're playing with?
So for UPF nowadays, it's mostly been like webcam games and stuff like that.
Okay.
It will happen occasionally I do enjoy the kitchen tables every once in a while. Uh, I'll get a bunch of my friends to come together. Actually, the last time we got together, I bought like a case of heavy hitters, and we did
Nice.
sealed ultimate pit fight
Okay, that's
on heavy
exciting.
hitters. It was actually great. It was like it was crazy. It was like 7 people, but actually, yeah, it didn't take that long either, because just because of the nature of the heroes. So,
Well, I mean,
but
that's
yeah, like
definitely.
we'll do that.
I mean, that's definitely exciting. I think that there's a lot of variability with being able to use like product, especially booster packs to create a sealed pool and still try that within the ecosystem of a format that's enjoyable. So with, I guess UPF in general, you said that you play with webcams occasionally. How does that experience compared to, I guess, the typical MO of Flesh and Blood, where people do want that more so in the actual Flesh and Blood?
As far as how it feels, I don't think it's that much different. Um,
Is it hard to keep track? I mean, in your opinion, is it more of a, you're having to use Discord to do that, or is there a particular apps that you're leveraging to work on?
I know most people do use Discord, uh, and that seems to be okay for now. Um, I know there's a few things coming down the pipeline to make it easier for people. Uh, yeah, I heard about like the Pixelborn guys are trying to have their own like platform, so you can uh, they'll use like AI to like scan your images and make it clearer and easier for people to see what's going on. So
Yeah,
I
there's
I
a
think for
couple
now
of
we're doing
those.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those seem to be coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of new technologies. I think there was one at Origins that I saw. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they had a booth that was there. So
Yeah, like with those, I think it makes it that much easier for webcam play to be more of a thing.
So within, I guess, UPF, since that's your preferred format, is there any particular hero that is, kind of something you're gravitated toward, or when you got in, are you more, what's the word, married to a specific class, or you enjoy a play style?
So for UPF, not really. Uh, the first hero I ever built for UPF, it was actually KO, the first KO.
Okay.
Um, what I'm doing now, as far as what I'm building now, I have a Squizzy and Floof, which is a bit more of a group hug type of situation.
Oh, wrong one. Hold on.
Um,
Him.
yep, yep. Yeah, I won him out of armory, and I was just like, you know what? Sure. uh, so there's that one.
There's certainly not a lot of merchant support at the moment.
No, no, unfortunately. Um, yeah, we'll get there eventually. But yeah, like I do like that one. I have a few of the adjudicators. Um, so I am building those.
Yeah, I think the hardest one. I brought some of the heroes out because I didn't know where we would go with this, but I have this is one of the adjudicator.
Yeah,
It's the
they're
angel
yeah,
one. Um, I think there's a newer one that came out from looks like a heavy hitter style one. I don't the Brutus or
yeah,
Brute.
Brutus, yeah,
I don't have that one. That one's pretty expensive. So
yeah, yeah. That one would be nice. But no, I haven't gotten around to getting it.
So that was one of the other interesting things, and I guess I might as well just broach the topic since I'm here, because like looking at some of my decks, right? I have a lot of cards, in these decks, and to play UPF, especially if you're providing 4 people's worth of decks, right? You can see as an example in here, I have one proxy card for a command and conquer, because while I have real ones, I don't have 8 or 10 real ones.
Airs, right?
What's
Yeah, right.
do you as group players, or at least when you start getting into some of that stuff, what's your thoughts on leveraging printed cards like that, that one obviously don't contain like the artwork and stuff, but are more so for just like I guess playing in that group setting, kind of like I guess in Commander, it's kind of like some people just don't care if you use, fancy versions of cards or stuff like that. Is that what's your thoughts on that style?
Yeah, I'd say I'm about the same. I- if it's just like in a super casual setting, we're just at a kitchen table or just at like a little store event, then I'm not really gonna, make a deal about it.
Because like I mean, a good example is I think I have 5 UPF decks in front of me here. And like as an example, my Nitro Mechanoid, my favorite dash one that I'm doing, I have as many real cards, or basically this one is
Right.
completely ready to go as far as like, so there's 2 Command and Conquers there, and then you saw the third and the Squizzy and Floof one. So like that would be my CC set of, Command and Conquers. And I find when I find cards, I'll buy them. Like there was a $20 E-Strike at some point that I bought, but when you
Nice.
start thinking of the value and having to buy some of these higher end cards for, especially heroes that in UPF most of the time you're using generic cards, right? So,
Right.
as an example, like these aren't very expensive, right? They're just, but I got those signed when I saw Sloop in Baltimore as an example. But there's a lot of these cards that if you don't use them constantly, or if you have a need for 4 decks worth of the card, you need 8 of them. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does your
Yeah.
L?
Most of the time,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. Most of the time, I end up switching out cards between different decks and just having the sleeves open and yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you're just providing your one deck, that's absolutely doable. I was just thinking I was trying to provide a pot of 4, with decks, and it's like sitting there trying to track down all the cards. Sometimes gets a little bit pain in the butt. Commons and rares, those are easy, but sometimes the higher end majestics, it's like now I need 8 Command and Conquers. Okay, that's gonna be fun. It's like yay.
Yeah. I guess in those type of situations, I would probably just end up doing like the precons.
Yeah,
Like
I actually I have a
yeah.
boatload of those. That was one of the other topics I was gonna maybe talk about is just leveraging. Like here's a good example of this is a bunch of different precons all sleeved up and pretty much ready to bring to an LGS and just rock and roll. So it depends on the hero you want. Like this is Rhinar in that one. There's KO. So I don't know if that's something that when you're playing, is that one of the forms of UPF that you play, like constructed, or I guess pre-constructed UPF only kind of a thing, or non-modified decks?
Yeah, yeah. Like I've done that once before where it was just me and a group of people that haven't really played the game before. And so, yeah, and I always buy the precons for like every set. And I actually bought like 2 sets of the round the table. So yeah, I had enough for like everybody, and they could just pick whichever hero they want, and you know,
What did you
just
think
play.
about the UPF first set? Now that it's kind of been out for a while, with the heroes that were included with that, the choices and archetypes.
Uh, I thought it was really good. I thought it was great. Just yeah, I really can't complain because I understand a lot of the decisions that were made in the making of that product. Uh, like they knew that they couldn't just do like a completely casual product. They knew that they had to put something in there for kind of for everybody. I felt like the hero selection was actually really good too. Um, so gave people an opportunity to just understand, uh, get a basic understanding of flesh and blood, and then once they get the hang of it, uh, they can have an understanding of like, uh, hey, Ira's probably really good in a 1v1 format. You should probably, if you want to play Blitz, you should probably go in that direction.
Gotcha.
Um, and there's just a bunch of really good cards in there that, you know, they're just gonna stand the test of time, really. So,
So, from a decision standpoint, what makes a good decision for a maybe a UPF style deck? For just zooming in specifically on the Ultimate Pit Fight product, the pre-constructed box, which obviously mine's seen some better days. It's seen some love because I've carried this thing around. I even taped it shut at one point, which I guess is a mistake because the paper does tear off when you rip that off. But like the four decks that are in here, what the Bard, is one of them as an example. What the mechanologist being the professor, what what draws you to one of those classes in a fair match? If those are the four decks you have, how often do you see one hero? Is it very equal across that, or anything you want to I guess explain to me based on maybe like the makeup of the UPF box itself, how you see that played or how that's in your play circles, how that works out?
Mm. Well, it does vary a lot. Like for instance, William, the table pit, he likes to do he likes Bravant, the Guardian, and he likes to do like an all he has a deck that's like all of the was it chivalry cards? Yeah, like
Oh
the
yeah.
block cards where you help defend other people, and
Hmm.
so you could definitely go to like that extreme. And then like on the other extreme, if you want to be a bit more competitive in a UPF setting, uh, I don't think you can go wrong with the professor. I think he's like literally just like a few cards away from being like a pretty optimal deck. And so yeah, it just you get a wide range, um, depending on the people and depending on the situation. I think you get to see all of the heroes. Well, maybe like Ira less so, just because Ninja ain't exactly the best in UPF, probably one of the weaker classes. But as far
Honestly,
as the
that's the
rest
one
of
that
them,
was
yeah.
always beating all the group that we had. It's kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, you kind of got to be careful. But yeah, you know, can't leave them alone for too long. But yeah, just once Ira can combo off though, it'll really hurt. And so people tend to be a bit wary about that. And not to mention you can't attack multiple people in the same combat chain, and that
Well, didn't
that
they
causes
just
some issues.
change? Well, not the same combat chain, but didn't they change a rule recently? I think that they allowed that to now become more of a oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, they allowed you to continue the combat chain across that. I thought that was a ruling change that they did recently.
Uh,
I'd have
I
to
know
look
they were kind of
look that
yeah, I
up.
know they made some adjustments to like the targeting on how targeting works and at what point are you allowed to target an opponent that's not directly next to you, stuff like that.
Okay. Now you'd mentioned I think it was called the Table Pit earlier. Are you associated with them in any way?
Uh, yeah, kind of. Yeah, like we talk so like me and William, we talk like a lot every once in a while. Um, we like to, spitball different ideas, and I know like he keeps encouraging me to like, hey, you need to put something out there. You need to start, definitely
Yeah.
like would he definitely wants me to, be a bit more active, and I would like to contribute more to the community as well. Um,
Making content's
just
fun. It really is. The hardest step
oh
is just
yeah, I
literally
believe it.
doing your first one, and then from there,
Yeah,
it's it's a it's a lot of sprinting from one to the other to the other.
yeah, I can imagine. But oh yeah, like I definitely want to like get more involved, and we do have some collabs lined up too as well in the future.
Yeah, I thought about trying to
Yeah.
reach out to people that just in general, maybe like a Twitter call to say, who plays UPF because around my local parts, it seems to be fairly hard to get folks to agree to play UPF. I've asked a couple different times, and I think my last request, which was only about 3 or 4 days ago, and then I didn't really ask probably a couple months before that. I haven't been super active in my local community just because of a lot of events and a lot of things I've just been working on behind the scenes with some other stuff. But it's really hard to get people that are really CC focused to go out and play UPF. So the online games that you were talking about, may have to be the stopgap there.
Yeah, yeah. A really good place to go to is the Casual Play Discord.
The
I
Casual
believe
Play Discord.
Yeah, I believe William runs it.
Don't think I've actually. I'm in about 100 Discord servers. That's ridiculous, by the way. And there are still new ones all the time I'm finding, and it's kind of a meme to myself now that I'm like, I can't believe there are this many Discords because, while Discord is great for bringing people together, it also weirdly silos a bunch of different stuff. Like, having one specifically for the state of Indiana, which is where I'm at, right? Or having one for if I have an interest in another game, Star Wars Unlimited or Lorcana, whatever, any of those kind of things. It's a bunch of different ones. I see you sent me a. Yep. So see, I can see it says join. So I am not in this one. So I don't even know if I have space. Nope. I gotta drop some servers to jump in. So I will do that after this. But I will definitely jump in there because I think that'd be fantastic. So give me a rundown. Why would somebody want to join that Discord? So this is your sales pitch for that casual fab. What's your sales pitch?
Yeah, so that one is literally just casual play. Like it's just a group of us that we try to. I believe William tries to schedule like at least one weekly game.
Oh, nice.
Of like UPF. Also, people are there for the PVE as well. I think there is a PVE section too, where that's being arranged as well.
I won't drop my backlight this time. You heard of Teclocrow?
Yeah, I have.
So these are his chapter 1, 2, and 3. Again, need to find some people to physically do this with, but these are the physical versions of those. Actually,
nice.
On one of the earlier episodes, if you go back and watch that, we opened that up, me and Ashenwing, so Alex. We looked through those and kind of just gauged a little bit of, what they look like. I've definitely tried to find people to play it. It does sound like this is going to be one of those things where there's going to need to be kind of some webcam shenanigans and set up to where maybe I have on my mat here I have the dungeon crawl pieces in the physical cards if we wanted to use that. But there's also other PvE engines out there as well if you're familiar with some of those other options that LSS hasn't officially supported, but they do kind of exist. There's I think about 4 or 5 separate PvE engines at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you tried many of them?
Other ones. I've tried like 1 or 2 of them.
So I can give you a kind of a rundown if you're interested in them. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in all of them. Let me find. So I have some direct messages here I'm going to reference. So this is all public information, but I had to ask. I had to do some like sleuthing. It was really weird. So obviously Teclocrow has his variation of his PVE, and there's like a website for that, and his cards are there. You can technically get the digital downloads. That's more accessible. I would almost say that may be the I don't want to say premier format, but it is definitely one of the more thought through versions. There's another one called Siege. I think Wesley did a video on that at one point, and Siege, there is a Discord for that, if I recall. I am still in that, but I think the whole SiegeTCG.com, there's like a Reddit post that I referenced when I talked to this individual. That website's gone, so I don't know if this is being continued. I think it's pretty much derelict at this point, so if it was being played, it's really not anymore, but it had some like interesting, unique stuff like sites and some other kind of tokenizations kind of stuff. But that's about the most I know about that. The next one was, I think it's called Fab Adventures, and I believe this is by Nearly Saint Nick, if I remember correctly. And this one is definitely more like a JRPG style, or Final Fantasy style, or D&D style, where you have like there's a Google Doc here. I'll pass that over to you in Gmail, or sorry, in the chat here. And I have not read through this very thoroughly, but there's some rules, there's some progressions, how to kind of go forward. You level up, so it does have like a D&D aspect to it. So that is definitely unique. I definitely appreciate the thoroughness that was put in there. And then one of them was called the Magic of Flesh and Blood, and I had to do some pretty weird searching to find that, but it was it's like a YouTube channel piece. I actually think I still have it sitting here. And then there's another one. So Tekla Crows is fabpve.com, and that's his over. And then his other ones down at the bottom here is the Wraith Adventures, and then the Overlord engine #2. So I think that is everything that I'm aware of that exists at this moment in time, which is surprisingly a lot, actually. So
that's I did not know about a few of these, so that's cool.
as for the quality of how all these products function, I couldn't give you a extreme amount of detail of the quality of play. Again, it's been really hard to try to track some folks down to actually sit down and play some of these, but I do know for a fact that the Overlord engine, that's a Patreon like one, so you can back with a Patreon, and if I recall, I think I messaged the guy directly somewhere, and I asked could I get physical copies, because I'm a big proponent to don't get me wrong, I like digital games, but and I guess Magic and some other ones have gone that way. But if I can have, like Tekla Crow, if I can have a physical card, they can't take that away from me. Like it's they can't take it down. It can't go away. I have it forever. And I need to talk with this guy. I think he has an ability to print, or like there's a print to play service kind of a thing. Or technically, I guess if you back it at a certain level, you can get like the digital app and some other stuff. So there's some like quality of life stuff, but there's something to be said about that physical card thing. Like
yeah, definitely. I can't. I can't do digital anymore as far as like card games are concerned. I'm kind of good on that.
So what do you think? Obviously, there's kind of I don't want to say a big contention point. That's not the right word, but the PVE for Flesh and Blood, the official PVE, is trademark coming. It's still coming. What do you think that will look like, given that it will not technically be first to market? It'll be first to market in the official Fab world, right? Like it'll be official for Flesh and Blood. But now that there's other PvE-esque ones out there, what do you feel the reception to that's going to be? How will that impact Flesh and Blood as a whole?
Well, I know there is a portion of us that came into this game with the idea that that it would eventually be a part of the game. So
how long have you been waiting for that? I know you said you got it around I thought Uprising, so that would have been circa year and a half, 2 years ago. Year
about 2 years ago, I guess.
So
well, I don't know, like hearing that PvE would come eventually, I was like, oh, that's cool. It wasn't really like the thing that hooked me.
Actually, it would have been exactly 2 years ago, June 2022, because this is what
nice.
June, July, so just over 2 years.
Wow, man.
It's crazy how time flies.
A lot, yeah. I was like, a lot has happened between then and now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was pretty content with the different formats that have been established already, and just all the different people independently making their own formats and stuff. Like I've been pretty satisfied with it. So it's not necessarily something I'm waiting on, but I do think it is, for better or worse, I do think PvE is a standard that's expected nowadays in the card industry, I think.
I'm not running away from you, but I'm grabbing something because you said that.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah, because that was just about to bring that up. Yeah, Lorcana, like the fact that they've been able to bring that to market so quickly.
Yep, 100%. And I have been actually playing that because it's a solo mode. So it's and I don't like. I don't say I don't like Lorcana. There's a weird relationship with the complexity of the game. I think is a little too simple in certain aspects, but I also enjoy this style of artwork and the nuances of this game.
Mm-hmm.
but there
Yeah.
is a valid PVE, and that's the whole reason I went and I bought it. And I paid premium for this shit. This was $99.99 at an LGS. I paid
Yeah.
$100 for this 1 to 2 player PVE box, which
Yeah,
is
it's crazy. And yeah,
madness.
yeah, and a bunch of other trading card games, that you probably haven't even heard of or barely hear about. All of them are coming out with PvE systems. Like
Oh yeah.
I know Shadowverse has one, and
Oh really?
a
Shadowverse
whole
does
bunch of
have one.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So like so at this point, it is starting to become standard. I feel,
Okay.
and so I don't want to put pressure on LSS to but yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like has to come out at some eventually, but it when it's ready, it's ready. And I'll just I'll take that for now.
Well, and here's something that most people maybe not agree with. So I will throw this bone out there because I think it's a valid comment. Um, you know, if you think about any game that exists and the complexities that are in each game, what would your have you played any other TCGs? First Flesh and Blood, your first TCG, or have you been? You said Magic earlier, right? So you played Magic at some point. How long did you play Magic?
I played Magic for a long time. Uh, okay, so well, my first trading card game was Pokemon. I got into
Oh, okay.
when that first started. So yeah, I've been around for a while. I did like Pokemon. I think my journey's pretty similar to a lot of people going from Pokemon and then around middle school it was Yu-Gi-Oh, and then high school it was Magic, and then just kept playing Magic until I quit.
Got it.
And I think I got into Magic around Dark Steel, like Mirrodin Block.
Okay.
I think, yeah. So
I
yeah, so
mean
I've been
that was
playing
like
it for a long
2000.
time.
I
Yeah.
played that Darksteel Mirrored Block quite a bit actually. That was one of my favorite blocks. But why I bring that up is imagine for a minute if Magic had a really bad uh, Commander release when Commander was converted from like a fan format to let's say an official product, which I don't know all the details. I know over time they've had some, I'll call it bad releases, but like their premier time of coming out with Commander, if it wouldn't have
Right.
gone as smoothly, would they have gotten a second chance? And and do you think people would have accepted that if maybe they did a bad job of portraying or delivering Commander to as a product line? And I only ask that question because in parallel, right, we haven't seen the Fab PVE come out, but if they were to release a product that is unpolished and basically is MetaZoo you know in a box, well, how would the community receive that, and would it ever be able to overcome that stigma? Would be my question to you. It's an open ended question. You can go wherever you want with it from there.
Yeah. So I I have a feeling that they're still going to do what they have done with other sort of releases, where there will be bits and pieces for everybody. So even if you're not into the PvE system, you will still get something out of it.
Okay.
Even if it's just somebody, even if it just ends up becoming something that people just buy and break down or whatever. So as far as you know, will it sell well? I'm not really doubtful on that, because I think eventually there will be a demand in some form or fashion, even if it's not successful in and of itself. Uh, but do I? So if it is a failure,
Well, I don't think it could be a
I
failure.
yeah, I don't like. Yeah, that's my thing. I don't think it could really be a failure in the sense of uh, like community reaction to it either, because if it doesn't work out, they just. I mean, it's not like they're hurting. You know what I'm saying? They're not. Yeah, I don't think would be too much of a blow to them either way. They just would not do it again, right? Or they
Well,
would, take a good
oddly,
amount of time between. in the next one.
Do you
Yeah.
think they're going to sneak in a UPF set for this year, or is that an every other year thing? Because I was looking forward to another one, but on the roadmap, I don't currently see that as a, an option at this point.
Uh, yeah, I wasn't actually, I was not expecting one this year, because they've kind of done so much for UPF already. Like Heavy Hitters is a UPF set. Like I can just buy a box and then split that up with friends, and then we could like do sealed. And so, and
Interesting. So I knew that that was a feature when they did heavy hitters as a UPF in a box. So you're saying that because it's the official UPF set, where including in the Fabled it is part of that. You think that maybe that is this year's placeholder in lieu of having a round the table as an example. You think that that's going would be would be where that's at.
well, it is for me personally.
Okay.
I do, yeah, I do think like they have done a good job of just giving people bits and pieces to contribute to the format,
Okay.
throughout the year. And I just think like Heavy Hitters was just like was a really smart innovation for them. Not to mention like uh, once they've taken that box form from around the table and started using it for different sets, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just not expecting another like full round the table product like that. Like at least not for a while.
Really, you don't? Yeah, as in you don't think it'll be something for? Okay, interesting. So okay, walk me through how would you use for those that may want to try this, right? How would we use a heavy hitters box to play UPF? Like what I think at one point I'm trying to search for it on here. It's an easy 8-person draft splitting into 2 4-person UPF pods, winner takes all. But how would you just play draft, or do you just get 4 packs or eight? If it's 8-person draft splitting 2 4 pods, there's 24 packs in a box. So how does that math would
Right.
be? Do you get 4 packs and that's what your deck is?
So what I did since I bought the case, I just went in and just did like a standard like sealed for like 6 packs
Okay.
for each person. Um, that was like with like 7 people, that was a little bit, yeah, that was a little under like 2 boxes. So I was able to do it twice. Um, that's probably what I would recommend, just to give everyone a fair shot at getting those getting those like pieces of equipment that their defense depends on the number of opponents that have more health than them.
So
Yeah,
they
those are like really big key pieces. So yeah, just to give everyone a fair shake, I would just do like 6 packs for everybody.
well, and if I'm reading this correctly, it says an easy 8-person draft. So again, 24 divided by 8 would be 4 times 8 is 24 that I'm aware of. I think right.
Right.
So I think the idea would be is for 8 people, you would end up drafting. There are what is it, 15 cards a pack is essentially plus. I mean, plus or minus token is what the pack actually has in it. So you're talking 30, 60 cards that you build a 40 card deck out of. Is that essentially correct?
Uh, yeah. If you're doing like a regular draft, I would do a regular draft if you're playing with people that know how to play Flesh and Blood. Um,
Well, that would be my question, right? Is do you have to draft
yeah.
this, or could I just hand somebody 4 packs of heavy hitters, and we could make a deck out of that, or is it too sporadic and they expect that the draft component will allow you to grab or gravitate toward, like, I'm grabbing all the brute cards, I'm grabbing all the, you know, whatever, the warrior cards, or I'm grabbing all the guardian cards, something like, is that the concept? Or how would you approach
Usually,
it, like for the draft component, or
yeah, like usually because my friends aren't that deep into Flesh and Blood like that, I would just circumvent it and just hand them the packs. If I'm playing with people, that know how to play Flesh and Blood and are familiar with it, then yeah, I would do like a regular draft and do it that way.
okay? Now, I mean, Heavy Hitters does also have the UPF decks. Well, okay, the Blitz decks. There are 6 of those.
Yeah,
So
right.
that could technically also act as a round the table isk,
Yeah,
head to head, selection pool. So can all the other decks, right? And at this point, there are becoming a lot of decks actually. If you go all the way
yeah,
back to technically the only one that really doesn't work anymore is the Ira intro deck, the 30 card. But
right.
starting with Monarch, you had the 4, then you had 3 with Tales of Aria, then you had, the Dory vs. Reinar one. You got the oh god, I have them all in boxes in front of me. I could pull them out, but I mean, I think you get the idea. There's definitely a
Yeah.
lot, and as they go forward, they're various. But one of the, I'll use the word complaint lightly here, but one of the gripes that I've heard is it's really hard, apparently, if you mix generations of decks. So, like an Arcane Rising deck that has some level, like I'm not going to say Kano because everyone's going to throw up their arm and yell at me, but if you have some sort of arcane damage style of hero and a hero that doesn't have arcane, without throwing them a bunch of random, just hey, here's a skull cap that you can use to, um, you
Right.
know, add your hero or spell void or something. Have some generic equipment they can choose from. If you just hand them the deck, then it's kind of a feels bad. Is that something you've experienced personally, or is that kind of a one off experience that you don't see happening often?
Uh, I really don't see that happening often. Usually, yeah, if I'm in a setting where pre-constructed decks are being used, uh, more often than not, it's just we pretty much all agree to just stick to the same set, just to make sure the power levels are, you know,
Equal. Okay.
pretty close. And yeah,
What's your favorite? I know you said you got in around Uprising, so is it going to be the 2 Uprising decks playing against each other, or like a 4-way Fimir, or what's your thought?
uh, well, it's funny because that drum my deck is just so like it's so good. It's like you get the cards you get in that deck are pretty insane. When you compare it to other precons as well. But ones I like, you know what? The I haven't. I've kind of done it, but this Mist Veil, yeah, these heroes play pretty well into each other in a UPF setting. Like these Mystic cards are kind of insane.
I have not had too much I have those decks sitting again right here. This is another. I have so many things to just randomly showcase. Like I'm gonna try to not spill this, but this is the 4 custom UPF decks, and underneath it on the other side below these are the 3 part the Mistveil decks. Um, but I have not really played much with like I've not been a huge assassin. I'm a mech fan, so like learning these has been interesting because it's not within my wheelhouse as much. But what do you think about these 3 new decks? What's your thought on that? You said they play good into each other. What's the reason that you say they play good into each other?
Uh, well, like there's quite a few cards in there that are just very UPF friendly.
Okay.
So one thing, so about a couple weeks back at my LGS, we were not in the mood to do a regular draft, so we actually all agreed to do a shapeshifter sealed UPF match.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Right.
Can you explain that for people that might not know what that means?
Yeah, yeah. So shapeshifter sealed, that's a format where you are handed an assortment of packs from different sets, and effectively you are a shapeshifter. So you get to play all of the cards that are available to you.
So you're this one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, almost. So yeah, so no matter what the talent, no matter what the class, if you open it, you get to use it.
Okay.
Now, of course, there are some like restrictions, like if you if you use arrow cards, you got to have the bow with it and stuff like that. But
Okay.
otherwise, yeah, you can pretty much play whatever you want.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, we decided to do that, and actually, in like half of the packs, we agreed to just be Mistveil, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, so if you could imagine like a shapeshifter sealed format where all of us have access to things like the cloaked equipment, which is really powerful actually in a UPF setting. The ones that don't get destroyed until the start of your turn,
Okay.
yeah, those are really good because let's say you're pulling ahead in a game, you start to get attacked, and you can activate the equipment, you can block with it, it'll stick around. They break the combat chain, try to attack you again, you block with it. The opponent on the other side wants to attack you, you still get to block with it. Uh, yeah, like one of the games I played with them, I was getting like 4 or 5 points of value out of it. It was pretty insane.
Interesting. Okay. Hmm.
Not to mention the Transcend cards are really cool. Really, really strong applications. So like one that stands out to me was the grain that tips the scales. And
Okay.
when it says target attack gets +1, it just says target attack. So you can target anybody's attack. And so yeah, you can reach across the table, target somebody's attack, and help them get over.
And just to be more fun with it, right? You don't even have to have
Yeah,
a really good reason for it. To just do it.
yeah. Like you're like, I want to make sure that on hit goes through. All right, here you
Okay.
go, +1.
Fair enough. It's interesting. I like that. So, hmm. What other let's see here. What other random items would you want to maybe discuss? Is there I mean, we definitely been talking, pretty heavy focus here on UPF and casual social play type stuff. Do you get into other formats like Commoner or Clash, or those in your wheelhouse, or do you?
Yeah. I think Commoner's great. I got a bunch of those decks. Um, yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's different. It really is its own like format though. It's hard to call it like a budget version of anything else. It just seems like its own thing now.
So do you think Flesh and Blood is an expensive game to play? I know that's been kind of a mantra that people have thrown around for a while, but what's your thoughts on, as an example, this card? I have a price tag of when I bought it at 11/23, so it'd be the 11th month of 2023. I paid $35 for it, but now I think that
Right.
same card has since, because of some announcements, right? I think it has gone up. I
Yeah,
think.
I can imagine. Uh,
I don't know.
I
I
bought I
haven't.
bought one way more than that, but that's okay. I think I bought mine like a little after. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like a little
Technically,
when I
this
first
is
started getting into the game. Yeah.
it's $29 right now for the lowest copy, but actually it's 30-35. The cheapest one is
Okay.
light play. This is a near mint. So like if I looked at the near mint one, $35 is, so it's essentially that
Okay.
same price. But yeah, if I look back a year ago in like November, yep, it was right there at about 30, 37, 38. And
Mm.
before that it was 50. So it fell. The cheapest looks like it got was about $20. So I think it's a great price for any
Oh, nice.
legendary.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one for multiplayer as well. Yeah.
What's your favorite hero? Like, if you, I don't think I asked that question earlier. So
My favorite.
if you could
I
only
like
pick
I like
one,
different heroes for different reasons.
okay.
Think overall I'm gonna say Data Doll.
Hmm, unique choice. One of my personal favorites as well. And what's your reason?
Uh, yeah, just I really liked the mechanic. Um, yeah, she ended up being the first like completely built deck I ever put together in Flesh and Blood. Was a Blitz variation of her.
How do you deal with the
Uh,
three intellect?
uh, you kind of just deal with it. I mean, yeah, this was like yeah, and this was like I built it way early, like before bright lights and all that. So she's like way better now. But back then, yeah, back then it was kind of a struggle.
There's part of my equipment suite for the Data Doll deck that I have here. Technically, I have Data Doll, Max slash dash. It's the I have all the
Nice.
heroes like all the mech stuff is just kind of in one pile for that the UPF deck. But yeah, I was trying to run a Nitro Mechanoid version. I was actually going to think about running a Data Doll version of Nitro Mechanoid, but like the intellect was really what was killing me with that. I tried.
Yeah, yeah, it'll yeah, it'll hold you up. Uh, yeah, luckily we got enough items nowadays to, to deal with it. So she can hold her own a little better now.
Well, here is
Also,
here's some packs. I feel like because we talked about UPF so much, it would be a shame not to open one of these heavy hitters packs because I was going to
okay,
say we could select from a bunch of different ones, but like honestly, you've pumped me up so much on heavy hitters that now I feel like I have to open a heavy hitter. So which one do you think has something fun we can talk about?
uh, I don't know. Let's
Right
go
or
right.
right or left Twix?
Yeah, let's go right.
Right Twix? I think that's my right.
Yeah,
Is that the one? All right, cool. We'll go with right
yeah.
Twix. All right, so these are the um, made in Japan version because they're the plastic wrapped
Yeah.
packs. So what cards, like if you were drafting for UPF, what cards in here do you typically look for?
Well, I mean, the snap keeps are the equipment at that scale. Those are the snap keeps. But uh, I will say since you brought up since the first card was pint, yeah, the drink cards, the alcohol cards, those are great. Those are actually awesome. Well, I actually recommend running those because you can kind of treat them like items, like item cards, like you would normally would in a UPF game. And so there are times where sometimes I'll just drop the drink card, right, and just not do anything. Like, hey, I don't feel like being aggressive here. I'm just gonna
Okay,
play this so that if you do attack me, I got a little something extra that I can, hit you back with just in case. It becomes that much easier for me to hit you again.
sure, that
So yeah,
makes.
like that. Those are good. Yeah, so those are good cards there.
Now we got Draw Swords is the next one, and then Wild Ride, which is a reprint. So what do you think about how Flesh and Blood has handled the whole reprints, where a card is released in a former set, and then they bring that same card design forward versus maybe doing a completely separate redesign of a card. What's your thoughts on literally being able to reuse old card?
I like it. I there really hasn't been a reprint that I've taken issue with, really. I think they've done a pretty good job on balancing it.
Bigger than that.
And that's a good card too. I like that in as well in UPF. Just sometimes you don't really want to be aggressive, but you just want to, have something, in the chamber just in case somebody wants to try something.
So there's a lot of hidden gems that you have to look at this from a different vein than a super aggressive or a single threaded. I have one threat
Right.
to mitigate.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
An agile rising power. This is a big old 6 attack, tall. This one I thought was a really good UPF card. I've thought about throwing this in a couple of decks.
Yeah, I could see it having some good like political applications.
So how political does your UPF games get? Like, is there in I guess command or in I guess Magic World Commander, there's always that rule zero kind of stuff. But like,
Right.
is there something, or how do you see that translating into Flesh and Blood?
It really varies from person to person, you know. Some people are just some people are really more open to negotiations and uh making deals and stuff, and some people just want to try to play it as straight as possible. You just gotta you really just respond accordingly.
Nice. I love the dual class stuff. Like this is definitely a unique design space that I hope to see more of in the future. Um, I like that it's not generic, but it's locked down between two classes.
yeah, the split cards in general have been are really good.
There's your equipment you got. You got the raw meat.
Raw meat, not a bad one.
Brute Warrior got some dual card action here. Rally. I believe this is a reprint as well from what
Yeah,
Monarch? Monarch, I think.
yeah, dude, I love that card actually. That's one of my favorite
Ooh,
generics.
hot streak. Warrior weapon,
Yeah.
one hand, just stabby stab. Okay. When will they give us another generic? Well, there is only one generic weapon. Why?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
would you think? I mean, is the design space just that complicated to not be able to give us like for merchants and stuff to be able? I just wish there was more weapons. Because
Yeah, me too.
if I go type weapon, I'm in Fabre here doing a search. Type
Yeah,
colon weapon.
I would have figured we would have gotten something like worse than Talishar. I'd be okay with that. If there was another generic that was like Talishar, but not quite as good, not quite there,
Because if I go
that's like,
T weapon, C generic, yeah, Talishar is it, and I would and maybe having a one-handed generic sword or a one-handed dagger or something that's
yeah,
generic.
that'd be,
Maybe it would break the game. Maybe I mean, who knows?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, that would be cool. I would like that.
This is another fun card. This is a reprint from Crucible of War, which, well, I guess the red one was in Crucible of War. I don't remember if there was a blue and a yellow, but this reprint here really changed a lot. Bigger than that. And you got a Rhinar and a Saber. KO and a Mandible. And I dropped it. There we go. Ta-da! That was your pack. Some good stuff. Exciting stuff. What else do we got? What other fun things can we chat about? Let's see here. Going to any conventions anytime soon, or any of the big events, like maybe going down to the premiere of Rosette?
Oh yeah, yeah, I am going to Tampa as far as I'm aware. Uh, I got everything already set up, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably not going to do the calling. I think I'm just going to do a bunch of side events and work with some people on some content.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm going to be there.
I hope I can make it. I think my biggest problem with it at the moment is scheduling time off for my work. So I got a lot of very busy things happening. Um, when is that? It's September, right?
Yeah, I think it's like first week of September.
Because that I thought
Yeah,
one of the
first
weekends
week.
right before that we're going to be in another state doing a convention where we're vending. So it would be silly tight for me. But at the same time, I'm thinking I might try to drive down there. But that is a hell of a long drive for me. So I don't know where in the U.S. you're from, or are you? You are in the U.S., aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
I'm on the East Coast, so it's not hard. I'm just going to catch a flight. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. A lot of people are doing the flying thing. Flights aren't bad anymore. I'm sure the price isn't terrible.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm cheaping out going Spirit, but I'll deal with
I don't think I've ever flown Spirit, to be honest with you. So. Well, anything more that you're interested in partaking in discussion, or other conversations, topics, things like that, or parting thoughts of what you might think would be possibly good information for newbies into the Flesh and Blood, or experienced veterans that may be like, I don't want to play UPF or Casual or Commoner or Clash or anything that's not CC, that kind of stuff.
it. Not really. I just think it's important that we do encourage all sorts of play at all levels. I do think that's very important. Uh, for a multitude of reasons. Because you never know. Like, you never know where a player's journey is going to lead them to. Uh,
Sure.
like we. I know we're some people feel very judgmental about the precons, but Like for instance, the Pro Tour winner, Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
the last Pro Tour winner, he started off with the Dromai Precon, and then just started switching cards out from there, and then kept playing Dromai, and that's got him all the way up to the Pro Tour. We just need to encourage more people to just start that journey. No matter where they're at.
Excellent words. I guess I'll wrap up with one final fun question for you because we didn't really talk anything about it. And I don't know why I skipped this, but Rosetta, what do you think about the four heroes that have been announced and the fact that we're kind of recircling back to Arya with elements now again? So bringing back a talent. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really happy about it. Uh, Pretty super hype personally. Um, I've always like one of the coolest things. Well, one of the things I thought was like so cool was watching like a Kano mirror. I
Yeah,
think those were like one of the coolest games to watch. And if I could have an experience like that all the time, I think that would be great. So like I'm kind of hoping the Wizards sort of play like that.
mental
Um,
gymnastics.
right. Uh, but yeah, like I'm pretty happy about it. I will say on the UPF side, it's a little concerning. I mean, Runeblade and Wizard are probably like the scariest classes in an Ultimate Pit Fight game. Uh, Usually it's like usually when someone slaps down Kano, I'm just like, well, you just look at everybody like, well, we know who we're attacking. Like,
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's just kind of how it is. Like, you slap down Wizard, uh, the chances of you having a good time are not all that high right now nowadays.
okay.
Maybe that gets lessened a little bit. Maybe as we as people get more used to how Wizards play, and maybe Wizards get you know are are able to expand the different ways they can play. Maybe that gets easier for people, and it
Okay.
gets more acceptable to present at a pod. Um, it's the same thing with Rune Blades as well. You know, uh, Viscerai, a chain, they can get pretty scary in a pod too. So,
What's
uh,
the biggest pod you've played in?
for UPF, I think it's like five probably.
Okay.
Like as far as like everyone bringing their own deck that was like made for UPF. I think I've only done like 5-player games at most.
Nice.
Most of the time it's like just like a 4-player pod.
Cool.
Uh,
So what would you say to a Magic player if they get this far in this video and want to join Flesh and Blood? Because since you played Magic in the past, what's your thoughts?
uh, I mean, I feel like it all starts at the top, really. Like LSS is a great company. It's run by really good people that know what they're doing and have operated at the highest level in like a multitude of areas in the trading card industry. So that's definitely one of the biggest selling points for me as far as like what made me decide to actually go deep on this game and you know be so involved. So that's probably the biggest one. Mechanically, I think it's I think it's better in every way. I know some people might disagree with that,
Okay.
but yeah, I just think it's a good game with made by a good company. So
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the episode. This is the number six, the finger on the thumb. You get to be the first on the second thumb. So first thumb first
sweet.
finger. So it's been fantastic getting to chat with you. And
Yeah.
if you want, I guess I'll close out the episode here with a favorite phrase of mine, which is "May your games be fun and your friendships grow." Cheers. All right. I think
Awesome.
that's a wrap. That's what I got. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was cool. Was that okay, or do you?
Oh, No, works for me. Perfect. I
Yeah,
was
thank you
actually
for
randomly looking at some stuff on Twitter as toward the end there when I saw this one of William, I guess, doing some sort of like shuffling a bunch of commons all over the table and just being a
yeah.
goober.
Yeah, the true way to shuffle it, right? Yeah.
Like, what
Uh,
the hell? What the hell?
yeah, that video was crazy. Like when he told me, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going for the world record. I'm going for some world records," and I was like, "Yeah, that's nuts, dude."
World record for what? Tallest deck?
A few. So he's going. He went for a few of them. So he went for the world's biggest deck box. Uh, he's still talking to Guinness about these because like they weren't able to like show up. But yeah, he's going for the world's biggest deck box, the world's biggest like largest game, largest like multiplayer card game,
That's gonna be a
where
hard
he
one,
was gonna
buddy.
have like yeah, like so basically all that shuffling he was doing, like that was like supposed to be a huge Yorick UPF game.
Interesting. I have a
Yeah.
York deck that I've been playing with, but it's people don't want to play with York unless it's all your cards. So
Yeah, Yorick is kind of weird, kind of awkward.
I have an itch to open one more pack. I don't know why. Just sitting here while I'm listening. See, I never get anything good in that second to last slot. That's where all the good stuff is. Oval.
Yep, the oval, yep. That's a good one. And yeah, so two of the equipment cards, yeah, those are awesome, yeah.
I love the foils.
Yeah.
Always so good. Yeah, I need to get some of these for my collection. It's hard to find at the moment. I probably shouldn't have opened the second because now I don't have any left. Cause I should keep at least one pack sealed so I can have something for long term. But awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for hanging out. Anything for me?
Yeah, thank you
Or
for having me.